You girls ready to eat? Let's go. Slightly chaotic homestead where the chickens own the place and they offer free entertainment all day long. Follow me, let's feed these guys. Come on, girls. Girls, give me space to put it in there. Oh my goodness. Today I'm giving you a full tour of the homestead, including the chicken coop, the horse pasture, and the cow barn that's in construction. Let's start with the chicken coop. This is our coop, and this is where we enter. This is the run. We have chicken wire running all the way from up top, and we actually buried it all under the floor because predator protection is very important. My husband has chased away a couple of fox. There has been snakes here, so we want to make sure that they don't get in. If we were to redo this project, two things that I would do is we would use hardware wire, which is more sturdy than the chicken wire that we currently used. And as much as I love the color white, and I had my husband paint this white, as you can see, it gets dirty super quickly. One of my goals is to repaint it this year to a darker color so it doesn't look as bad. But come on in and let me show you what else we did. So we have their feeder over there, we have their water over here, and we have it elevated just to make sure that we don't get the water contaminated as much. Florida is very hot, very humid. We want to make sure that we have enough water. So we refill this bucket every single day, and I have a secondary one to make sure the inside is clean. We have their roosts over here, and we have 3 levels of roosts and a chicken ladder going up. They do not like to sleep in the coop. They sleep out here in the run because there's quite a few of them. They won't fit into the coop. This run is about 20 by 20 feet, so this gives them sufficient space where they're not overcrowded and they stay warm. And they're pretty happy with this setup. And there is the chicken door that leads into the coop. Let me show you what we did there. This here is the coop. Now, when we built it, we built the coop and the run separately, and I had my husband put in planters. And we had beautiful zinnias and sunflowers just blooming all throughout last spring. But the chickens decided that they're the owners of this place, and they used it as a dust bath. And they kind of got rid of all the flowers, and I've allowed them to use it as their dust bath. This is beneficial for the chickens. So until I could figure out what plants I could plant in there that my chickens cannot destroy, we're gonna leave these 2 areas as dust baths. And if we come on in, we'll show you what we did inside. Now, if you noticed in the run, we used sand, and sand is much easier to clean. It clumps up when they go poo, and it's much easier to come out. Here in the coop, we have pine shavings. They are better in terms of dryness. We want to make sure that the area stays dry. It absorbs any ammonia. We have ventilation gaps going through both sides of our coop to make sure there's enough airflow so it doesn't get too hot in here. And our nesting boxes are in here, along with another area for them to sit on, which they personally don't like. We've become a rooster refuge recently, where we've adopted 5 roosters that people didn't want. And the roosters like using this roost, and the chickens use the one outside. So whatever works for them, I guess. But come on in, let's look at our setup in here. So the nesting boxes are over here, and normally you want 3 to 4 chickens per nesting box. We have 6. We do have more chickens, but they do share, and we've done pretty well. If we need to add any, we could add another layer here where we would remove the top. This is our black sex link. Oh, she doesn't want to be bothered. She is not broody, but she's definitely doing her business, and she doesn't want me up in her business. Oh, girl, come on. We also have white sex lynx, and they tend to be very brave. They're very playful. They offer a lot of drama and a lot of entertainment. We have Brahmas, which I love how they look with their little fuzzy feet, but they're a little dumb, if we can put it that way. They're like the silly goose of all the chickens. Half the time they can't find their way through the door, even though they come in every evening. And they just tend to be a little more skittish than these, and they don't like to be held. And we have a couple of olive eggers that give the green eggs. So that's fun. We love each of those chickens. But as you can see, each of these nesting boxes, they're about 12 by 12 inches, which gives sufficient space. In order for the chickens to feel safe, they want to make sure that they're secluded, there's a bit of shade, and you have something comfortable on the bottom. We use these pads. We don't use hay, and the eggs come out so much cleaner. If you look at this, they're like pretty much clean. There's no spots, no poop on them. And these are removed layer by layer, and you could replace them. We bought these about a year ago, and I have not had to replace them, at about $38 a box. Score, great deal. Anyways, next step, we are gonna go ahead and collect the eggs, which is my favorite part. That part never gets old, neither does eating them. And we'll do that on the outside of the coop. Now on to my favorite chore, collecting eggs. We have these that open up from the back so you don't have to go inside. The only thing that we're missing, which I'd like my husband to add, is a latch up here to hold the door open. This way we have both hands to use when we're collecting eggs. Otherwise, somebody else has to hold the door open, or I gotta maneuver like this. Fancy stuff. Okay. Now our chickens offer us eggs, entertainment, and emotional instability. And there's always one chicken or rooster causing problems, and he knows who he is. So from here on, let's go and look at the horse pasture. Horses are beautiful emotional support animals, but they eat like professional athletes. Dust baths too, apparently. Chelsea! Nope, she's not done. I think it's the flies. Ooh. Somewhere under all that dust, she is quite light in coloring. Oof. Do you want a snack, sweetheart? No. Should we give Dolly some too? Let's go give some to your friend. All right, come on, let's go. One of the things that horses need is safe fencing. No barbed wire, just wood, and no climb wire to ensure that they stay safely in the pastures. They tend to rub against the fencing, and that is why barbed wire is not a good idea. Shelter and shade are also very important, especially here in the Florida heat. And we have this temporary shelter since we don't have a barn yet, and it helps protect the horses from the sun, the wind, the cold when it comes, as well as the rain, because they definitely don't like wet feet. And this has lasted us for about a year. We're hoping to put in a stable, most likely next year. Water is another important thing. We want to make sure that our animals stay hydrated. So we have a couple of water buckets there, and we have a hose line running all the way from the house down to here, and we refill their buckets every day and make sure they're well hydrated. Feeding needs to be consistent, so we try to stick to the same schedule. We have feedings in the morning and the evening. They are herd animals, and they constantly are also eating. So we have hay available all day for them. because unfortunately, as you can see, we don't have the grass in the pasture growing quite yet. Our second pasture has more grass, and we opened that up for them to use to try to get the grass here to grow. Ooh, look at Chelsea after her dust bath. She is filthy. I think she wants something to drink. Over there is the future area for the barn, and we'll be putting that in hopefully next year. We have it closed off for now, but we cleared it. This is the biggest of the 3 pastures, and they use this one the most. This is their feeder. We have a salt block in there also for hydration, and normally the hay is in there, but this evening we put it on the fence line. There's a second pasture over there. And then the third pasture we're actually going to repurpose for our cow pasture. And that is where my husband is working on constructing a barn for the milking cow and her calf that we're looking to purchase soon. This here is the second pasture, and a couple things I wanted to note. If you plan on getting horses yourself, they are herd animals, so you want to have more than one. They will be very lonely. That's why we purchased Dolly, and then we purchased Chelsea a month afterwards, and they are great companions and they stick together every single day. Another thing to consider is hoof care is very important. We have a farrier come every 6 to 8 weeks to trim their hoofs to make sure they stay healthy. Healthy feet are great for a horse. You want to make sure you have enough room. So we have the 2 pastures for your horse to stay healthy. It needs to have room to run around, build up, work out its muscles, and then it will be a happy, healthy horse. Lastly, this is our barn project. It looks like rustic barn meets budget constraints right now, but I'm sure when Nick and the boys are complete with it, it's going to look wonderful. We look forward to welcoming home a Jersey and her 2-month-old calf very soon, and she will be our milking cow. So in this area of the barn here, we plan to put a milking sanction, and we're going to milk over in this area. We're also going to put shelving up top so we can store the hay for the cow up there. Most of our feed right now is in our garage, including the horse feed, the chicken feed, the cat feed. So it'll be nice to have an area where we could store feed that is not in our garage. On this side, we want to close off and have it for birthing or for the little calf. Because this is a milking cow and this is her first calf, we need to separate them so she gets used to me milking her versus the calf taking all her milk. And then we would feed the calf separately until he's fully on hay. We used pressure treated posts and 2x4s here throughout to make sure that it is stable. The other material we used over here is the metal roofing on both the walls as well as the roof. It is long lasting. It offers better stability as well, and it's easier to clean because if you're using the barn for a milking station, sanitation is very important. We also have this area fenced in for safety. Last but not least, other than the barn, what we really need here is a water source. We do not have a water source on this pasture like we do for the horses. So we're going to be working on getting a well dug up to have access to water because just like horses, cows need to be hydrated. They drink water throughout the day, and we want to make sure that we have it available when they come in. But even with all the chaos and all the work, all the unfinished projects and the muddy boots, we really love this life. Thank you for coming along on our homestead tour. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure that you subscribe to see more content from us on gardening, homesteading, farm life, and tell me in the comments which animal you plan to add to your homestead next.